Hello,
Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Metal Gear University.
I'm T.
And I am Kay. And it is so good to be back. It felt so long since we've recorded.
You were feeling a little under the weather last episode, and we rolled in the TV. But
Brought in the sub. You know what's funny is that some of our younger listeners may not know what that means.
how?
No one rolls in TVs anymore. There's no TVs to roll in. That's a situation of a bygone era.
I can understand that CRTs are replaced with like flat screens and stuff.
No one's rolling in a flat screen.
Why not?
You ever heard of a smartboard?
To be fair, we were playing Zelda on Twitch like yesterday, and one of our younger listeners told us that they didn't have smart boards in their class. So,
But they were in a different country.
can you just let me have this?
Do you know? You didn't answer my question. Do you know what a smartboard is?
I didn't know until you told me
Yesterday?
yesterday. I didn't even know what they were. And I'm
Wow.
planning on going
Yeah.
back to school, and I'm going to be like,
Another podcast with an old white guy.
shut up.
Kids nowadays, there's a smartboard. I may even be dating myself. There's probably something even more innovative and new that the kids use. Also, kids nowadays, at least in America, don't get snow days because of remote learning.
That's stupid.
Anyway, allergies. T, I'm glad you're feeling better as well. I'm glad I'm feeling better.
Yeah,
Kind of.
allergies were messing me up, man.
I hope everyone's doing well. It's been the past 2 weeks, we've been navigating a little bit of challenges, but we're happy to be back. In those 2 weeks, we were very thorough. We worked together, T, and we have detailed MGS4 to the best of our ability. So I'm actually really excited to jump into it.
Same here. No, when I was taking notes for this episode, I felt like a real cinephile.
Sitting down, pausing.
I was analyzing, what does that mean? What was meant to be portrayed in this scene? I felt like Roger Ebert or something.
And I think MGS4 is definitely one to do that. As those of you who have never played it, you'll come to see that Kojima really was explicit with what he wanted to say in this one. He left, almost nothing to interpretation.
Yeah.
Almost
And
nothing.
The cutscene ratio to gameplay is insane. To the people that complained that 2 had long cutscenes, Kojima was like, "Oh yeah, I could do you better. I could do you better."
Oh, you guys like the cutscenes? More?
More? You want more? I think it holds the record still, but MGS4, to my knowledge, still holds the record for longest cutscene in a video game.
You know what? Real quick, we'll pull it up. Longest cutscene in a game.
That's 6.
Okay, we're scrolling
3,
down.
2, 1.
The longest cutscene, spoilers for some of you, the longest cutscene in a game is in Metal Gear Solid 4, and the cutscene is 71 minutes?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. It felt long. It didn't feel an hour, 10 minutes. It didn't feel short film long.
Are you ready to do a 101 of this game?
That's
Are you ready?
That's its own, that's its own episode, probably.
It's probably 2 episodes.
You know what? Let's stop lollygagging. Let's stop bullshitting. You ready
Uh-huh.
to get into the episode?
I'm ready.
Well, real quick. We want to acknowledge that it was the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. For some reason, we're really celebrating. I feel like a fucking nerd. May 4th. We're like, ooh, let's watch a Star Wars film and get some snacks.
Okay. To be fair, there was a bakery by us that was doing these really intricate Star Wars themed baked goods, and they looked not only really good, but they looked cute. And for some reason, I think that sparked us to do a little more festive activity.
But then we
year.
also saw Revenge of the Sith. What's it, last week?
To be fair, it was 4DX.
It was 40X. It was the
4DX.
20th anniversary.
And I fully acknowledge that movie is kind of stilted. If we're gonna be completely honest here,
I didn't remember it being that bad.
I mean,
It was rough.
the choreography.
There were some redeeming factors.
Oh, who?
What do you mean who?
Who was the redeeming factor?
What were you gonna say, the choreographer?
Somebody woke up from a nightmare, shirtless in bed, and went like, "Ugh, that." Wait, hold on. That nightmare.
That's so mean.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, I don't mean to be a dick.
But what were we gonna say? The choreography or what? You're talking like the movie?
The fight choreography was really good. The opening sequence I actually really enjoy.
the TIE fighter, not TIE fighter. The fight.
Yeah, like the whole sequence, like the space, the Star War, so to speak. And then going into rescue Palpatine, that whole
Yes.
shenanigan. It felt like classic Star Wars. That little
moment.
that opening sequence. Then there was like the middle of the movie. I'm like, what are we doing? And then the last third, I'm like, okay, we're back.
You know what other anniversary it was, or another geeky holiday? Do you know what day it was?
April 30th?
Do you know what day that is?
Of course. Today is the day I met you.
Oh, that was so cute. Oh, thank you for reenacting. I took a nice lunch break. I was at work. I was downtown in Manhattan. And they were like, hey, Krista, where are you going for lunch? I was like, oh, I'm just going to go step outside for an hour. I'll be right back. I walked to Federal Hall. It took me so long.
How long of a walk would you say?
Probably like 30 minutes.
Damn!
Walked there, took a picture, stood there with all the tourists, being like, they don't understand. And then turned around and walked back to work. Didn't eat nothing.
like somebody comes up to you and it's like, what are you looking at? And you're like, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't understand.
Am I better than everyone else here? All these tourists, they don't even know about the tragedy of Saldus.
Incredible. Cinema.
Perfection. No, what I'm excited for is we have some friends visiting New York soon. Shout out to Survivor T-Type.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Blue Sky and anywhere else on social media. Check them out. Greatest artist of all time. But they're gonna come to New York, and I'm hoping we have enough people to reenact that scene.
I hope. No, my vision is to do the Metal Gear Solid New York tour. Meaning, if it's raining, we have to run across the Washington.
We have to
Bridge.
run?
I mean, Snake ran at least a little bit of it. Or we could have like that cool walk. Anyway, we walk across the George Washington Bridge. Then we get to oh god, where did they meet up? I think they were at the Empire State or the Chrysler
Oh,
building.
because those two places are so close to each other.
They're kind of close. The Empire
Oh, I thought you
and
meant
Chrysler?
the bridge and the Chrysler.
Well, this is part of like it's a whole day event.
Okay.
Okay. So then we
My
go
bad.
we go there, and to honor Ryden and Rose, we pick a debate topic and we debate all the way to Battery Park, which is more or less the very end of Manhattan.
That's about I would say maybe an hour walk.
So
We gotta argue for an hour.
we got to argue for an hour. Then we go to Federal Hall, somehow get onto the roof and fight each other. Then loser has to plunge.
That's solid. It's a solid day.
Yeah, right?
I think it's a great way to like show New York to someone who's never been.
Yeah. Give them the real New York experience, you know?
So excited. When I was at Federal Hall, I was looking around to see other nerds, and I didn't recognize any other nerds. It was actually kind of. It's gonna be nice to go there with like real historians of Federal Hall.
People who understand the real significance of
The
that
real
building.
history of Federal Hall. I can't wait for that because it felt very isolating when I went. I will say, there have been some people who've been popping up to our Twitch streams just to say hello. It is so nice to talk with everyone. Just want to say thank you for like just reaching out. Every DM we get on like on social media, Blue Sky, people who pop in real quick on Twitch. It's so great to just like see people interact with us and like you always say, T, that we create this, we put it out, and then it's kind of just like, okay,
Yeah.
someone I guess is listening.
Like on our end, like we make this podcast, we click upload, and then that's just kind of where it ends. So like whenever anybody genuinely like just comes up and says like, hey, I've been listening, it's really cool, I'm like, what, you listen to that?
So
Not to be like, like
questioning their taste.
I'm just like, the thing that like I'm just doing, you're listening to it. That's cool.
That's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat, man. Thanks.
So please feel free to like say hi, especially to at MGS Con. I'm so excited to meet people there. It's you and I were talking about just like really wanting to be more social.
Yeah,
So just looking forward to it. Anyway, ready for MGS4? I'm ready.
I'm ready as
I
well.
feel like we're distracting.
Let's do it.
On to the episode. So T,
Yes, Kay.
with this episode specifically, we figured that we would set the scene of MGS4 before jumping into the game proper.
Yeah, because I feel like for uh more than any other game in this series is different in terms of gameplay.
Okay.
Mainly because like in Metal Gear up to MGS3, you're sneaking into like an enemy base, right? And then even if we're not to jump the gun, but to go to Peace Walker and 5, you're sneaking into a base or you're sneaking into stuff that's like occupied territory. It's not like 4. In 4, you're going into like an active war zone.
Okay. Different.
Yeah, it's very different. And another thing that makes 4 so unique is you could actually influence the tide of battle to make things go in your favor.
Okay, you were jumping ahead already, I feel like.
Well,
I feel like let's roll back
okay.
because I feel like we definitely want to talk more about like the world in which this game is set.
Okay.
I want to rewind. What were your first impressions of Metal Gear Solid 4?
Okay, my very first impression of this game was a trailer that dropped. I forget what year it was. I think it was like 06 or
You want to look it up?
Yeah, go for it.
I can look it up. Let's see.
I think it was like 06 or 07. But let's see. 05.
05.
Okay. And it had the character models from MGS3 in it because it was so early in development they didn't have anything to show.
Oh, okay. So like it really kind of just looked like they used
Yeah,
the same skins, the same.
Yeah, and they I remember that fans are panicking because Kojima was saying that Solid Snake would be the lead. But they used the Snake model from 3.
I see.
And the explanation was, well, that model has a higher polygonal count. It just looks better.
So this was really just an announce. It wasn't anything pertaining to the game itself. It was just we're announcing this new game. I'm gonna throw whatever together.
There was like some hints of what the game would be. Like
Okay.
there was like in this particular trailer, if you check it out, you have Snake hiding behind a wall, but the soldiers are engaged in a firefight somewhere else. So it's kind of setting the theme of like sneaking in a war zone.
Okay, but people at that point in the trailer probably people weren't even paying attention to it because the trailer itself is so silly.
Yeah, the trailer is very lighthearted.
We'll put the like link in the description, but it's a very almost nonsensical to me. It's just
it's just to say, yeah, we're working on it.
mm-hmm.
There's silly little things like you have Snake dressed up like Sam Fisher. You have there was like a little tiff between Raiden and Snake and they fight to see who's the main character of the game.
That's kind of playful.
It's just it's a tongue in cheek thing.
Would you think this is the first time, or would you say this is the first time Kojima was being a little bit like playful in his trailers? I feel like every trailer before this, it's been very much cinematic.
I would say so. At least to the best of my knowledge, this was like the first trailer that was overtly silly. Not to say that like, past Metal Gear games didn't have their silly elements. They definitely do. But in terms of like trailers, I feel like he was just kind of like having a good time making this.
This trailer coming out in 05 that's a pretty quick turnaround from Metal Solid 3. It's like
I think 3 released earlier that year, or at least like the year before. So to just like go right into 4.
You're gonna hear a lot of clicking because I'm like looking stuff up as we
came out in 04.
So they wasted no time in being like, yeah, new game's coming. And that also probably means that things were already being worked on.
Yeah, Kojima probably had some ideas floating around at the time.
I know with this game, it was. I mean, how apparent was it this was going to be the last Metal Gear game from what you remember?
Oh man, I'm trying to go back in time right now.
No, it's okay.
I think Kojima, since 2, wanted to take a step back, and I think 4 was the first game where he really wanted it to be over. Like, I feel like he was done with 2. He came back for 3, and he was like, "Okay, I'll do one more." But then by the time 4 came around, he was like, "All right, guys, I'm really done."
I think we got that message very clear when we watched the Well, was it a documentary, The Making
Yeah,
of MGS4?
yeah, it was a doc.
So, like the making of MGS4, it's this behind the scenes footage. Can you find it in the game? Like, is it
I
some?
God, if memory serves me right, I think it was in like a special edition of 4 that you can get, but you can get it on YouTube.
I think we'll put that link too for people. But it was literally a little. It felt like a little like documentary crew went around the office and interviewed different people involved in the making of the game. It was like a 30-minute little episode.
It was cool. Like you get like a real insight into the creative process that went into this game.
And
And
Kojima's process himself.
when I tell you, I would have fucking hated working there. Like, like there are times where I'm like, I would give my left nut to work in
Mm-hmm.
Kojima Productions. You know what I mean? And then it's like the monkey's paw, and I work there, and then
You get this
I'm just doing
micromanagement.
I'm just trying my best, and then some Kojima comes up to my desk with a handwritten note that I could barely read, and then he's like, "Hey, everything that you worked on for like the past month and a half, just throw it away. I want to make this slight change, and because of that slight change, you got to redo everything."
And we have a deadline of a month from now. Get to work. And we
Oh,
make that joke because it happened in.
it happened. No, and then like the game was like coming out in like a few weeks, and Kojima was like, "I want to redo all of Sunny's lines," and they were like, "Dude, what?"
it was funny because, like, to your point of like like the monkey's paw, we know Kojima to be this auteur, this real visionary, and then this documentary crew, like the crew itself, and it could be like a stylistic thing that I'm not privy to of Japanese culture or whatever. But like the film itself pokes fun at Kojima's like perfectionism, pokes fun at his like micromanaging like nature, because there's points like you said where he would like someone's working on, let's say, sound design, and they show one of his handwritten notes, and they're like, it's barely legible, but Kojima will write something, go to this person's desk and place it and be like, redo it. And everyone's like, Kojima. It's like,
It's
no,
like,
but
dude.
this is terrible. And then with Sunny's lines, like you were saying, they had this woman doing Sunny's lines. It was like 37 takes. He was changing the script as she was doing the lines.
Shit was crazy.
And then they went back to an animator who was like, she was like, yeah, like I made Sunny's face look sullen based on the original script, but now I gotta redo it because we changed the way that she sounds. I was like, this seems, and
My God.
okay, and then the worst part, everyone that they spoke to in this film was stressed.
Yeah, no. Every single animator or graphic designer, anybody who was working, they were like, "I'm stressed, dog.
One of my
I'm
notes,
stressed."
one of my notes here was everyone was overwhelmed. LMAO. Like like, because they said that within this game there are 8 hours of cutscenes. Not only that, there's over 100 characters, and also what the developers, not even developers, the team itself, they were saying that the PS3 hardware was so much more advanced than the PS2 that they were overwhelmed.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, I'm speaking as a dumbass that doesn't really know tech that much, but just speaking as a consumer from the outside that kind of grew up with these generations of games, I feel like the jump between 2 and 3, PlayStation 2 and 3 rather, was like the last time a console generation felt significant.
I see.
Like, obviously, you could tell the difference between like a PS3 and a PS4 game, but I feel like the differences between that gap is smaller than a PS2 to PS3. And then, I mean, even if you go even a little further back, PS1 and 2, that's huge.
I think, as another dumbass who barely knows anything, we're now at a point where it's more about making things more photorealistic
Yeah.
as opposed to 2 and 3, where you went from like really blocky looking characters or really kind of like harsh angles. Things are you're able to just, I think, fine tune things and make things look almost photorealistic. And that's all you can really do now.
Yeah.
There's nothing above that besides, I mean, anything else is more innovative than.
Yeah. I mean, like, the big thing nowadays is like ray tracing and stuff like that.
Hmm. But again, I'm gonna stop here because I don't know much about any of that. I'm just a consumer as well.
It's fine.
But I wanted to bring up, because in this documentary, Kojima said something that was kind of to your description of this being the last game. And I took a quote from the documentary. Kojima at one point states he wanted kind of like Snake's memory and like Snake's whole idea is for all his ideas to kind of break apart and be seeds for the next generation. And he said, quote, I hope I can pass myself various genes on to a next generation of game designers who will create future Metal Gear titles. Which I was like, oh wow. Like,
Yeah.
we're hearing him himself back in like 2004 being like, I'm ready, like you said, to pass that baton.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not exactly how he envisioned it.
His like
But
removal.
I feel like the end result is what he wanted. Now, granted, we're getting a remake of a established Metal Gear title, but hopefully
We'll get new stuff in the future.
we'll get another new Metal Gear Solid game, and we'll see how it is. You know?
Would, I guess a new game would be Metal Gear Survive.
Ooh, yeah, that's a bad.
But think, he wasn't involved in that, right?
He wasn't. No.
So that's a new title. And then Revengeance, he was involved.
Yeah, he was like involved in like the story, and he was like a producer in it.
Okay, so we have one or two things that are kind of like not him, but like in that realm of like passing the baton.
Yeah.
So, like you said, maybe with 3 we'll get some more ideas and.
I'm willing to bet that 3 will most likely be like a success for Konami, and it'll give them more uh daring, I should say, to like be like, let's try something new.
If they're going the same route as Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2 remake came out, and then they said also here Silent Hill F, the new game. So hopefully we'll get an announcement of a new Metal Gear game if this one does well.
If it does well,
they're probably like, I feel like they're probably working on something, but they're
holding off.
So when Metal Gear Solid 4 was announced, and you had not only the announced trailer, but I imagine as it got closer to release date, you were seeing more trailers, people were gossiping. Do you remember anything that stood out during that time? Were there worries people had? Were there certain trailers that were significant to you?
Man, I remember the conspiracy theories that were being thrown around.
What conspiracy theories?
Well, I can't really get into it without spoiling the game.
Oh, so
We're gonna have to go through it, but people were like,
were some people like right on? Is that why?
Some people were. Some people were like, do you play as Big Boss and do you play as Naked Snake? Do you or do you play as Solid Snake? Is that Raiden? Is that person Raiden? Wait, who are the Patriots? Are we fighting the Patriots? Are we the Patriots? And then it just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
It was a crazy time to be on little message boards at the time. For me personally, I think that's when I was like really starting to be a little active in the scene.
Oh, like commenting and.
Yeah, like commenting and like being like, I think Raiden is this guy. You know.
And what was it, Zogdog? Like, what was your?
Zogdog, Snake Soup, IGN message boards. You know.
Okay, that was your.
You know, the big 3.
The big. Up there. Yeah, how old are you? You were probably.
I was like 17, 16.
Okay, so yeah, you were, engaging. That's pretty cool. I remember the cover, and the cover was so significant to me because I remember I wasn't a big Metal Gear fan growing up, but I remember seeing old Snake on the cover, and I was like, "Why is he old?" Like,
Yeah, he was an old ass
and
man
it's like a shot of just his face, like chin up, and he looks ragged
with the mustache.
with the with the heavy like was it mine chop? It is he had the thickest stash and then the really prominent red font. So it was a very striking. That's something I'll never forget. That cover.
I remember Kojima stated that in the design process, the reason why they gave Snake the stash was because like when they made him old, he didn't look old enough. And they were like, how? I guess it was like he was still too hot.
Mm.
So they were like, how do we not make him look as attractive? And you just slap a 70s porn mustache on him.
But
Which honestly, I see a lot of kids walking around with that stash now. So he kind of looped around and he's back, baby.
He's back to being.
He's back to being zaddy. So you start this new game, and then you think that, okay, this is going to be like a normal video game. And then all of a sudden, you're just greeted with an interview or a documentary or a cooking show. It could be anything. And you're like, what the hell am I looking at?
And it's like real life actors.
These are real life actors. Some of these actors are voice actors that are in the game, like David Hayter, of course. And I feel like such an ass. I forget her name, but she plays one of the prominent characters that you meet later on.
Okay.
In the game. And they are in a interview. It looks like God, what was that show with
between no, behind the actors or something.
Yeah,
like that?
behind the actor studio, I believe.
I don't know.
Behind it was like the actor studio.
Behind.
I-
It is behind.
Yeah, behind the actor studio.
No, inside.
Inside.
It is one, but this one is probably called behind the actor studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, it's like inside the actor studio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this woman who's interviewing David Hayter, and it's actually David Hayter. And she is like conducting this interview, but she's putting words in his mouth.
Yeah, she'll ask him a question, immediately
like answer
interrupt
it
him.
and like answer it for him. And you'd have David go like, I didn't say that.
Yeah, he's
What?
like, he's trying to answer something and he's cut off and he's like shocked by what's going on.
And you're probably listening to this and you're like, what the hell does this have anything to do with Metal Gear?
Exactly.
Exactly. And what you're basically looking at is if you were a normal person, if you were you, as you are right now in the Metal Gear universe, and you turned on your television, this is what it would be.
We are essentially watching. We are watching TV in that world.
Yeah, and like I feel like it's a really cool window to see how almost like bleak things are. Like even on how normal things look like on the outside, if you like look at it in a deeper narrative sense, you get a real sense of like, oh, David can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's controlling what he can and cannot say.
He's being interviewed, but the audience is laughing at him, and she doesn't even care what he has to say.
Yeah,
he's
it's
just
almost like condescending at some points.
he's being used in a sense.
Yeah, to drill these like faux pas, feel good quotes that David didn't say, but is marketed as him saying it. And there was also like a little thing. I don't know if it's me being a little too film snobby.
Okay.
In this interview, it starts off with like the two of them. There's a table in between them, and there's like a plant there, right? And this plant in the beginning of this interview starts to decay. And then from that, there's like a hologram that comes out. And it's like this holographic like war of like these helicopters like shooting missiles at each other.
Okay.
And I think it kind of delves into like this meaning of the game of like things that are real are dying and they're being replaced by things that are fake.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
like even like the war, it's like these aren't like real helicopters fighting. It's a holographic like dogfight.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that the idea of like even like the wars that are being fought in this world are meaningless. Like they don't matter.
Interesting. I wonder if that'll play into the game later. Let's keep that. You're planting a seed.
I'm planting the seeds, dissolving. It's a theme. I've heard.
But to your point about war, like there was a very visual representation, like you said, of like the planes shooting at each other. In between this faux interview,
Yeah.
there's planes shooting at each other on that table. A theme with every TV show that you encounter in this segment is war.
Yeah. Everything is war related. Even something that's like benign.
We have a channel that's a game show. I think it's called the Seventh Circle. And it's like a game show, kind of like, oh my god, what is it? All I can think about is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I don't think that's on TV anymore.
I don't think so. But like think of like a basic trivia show. It's more or less that.
And what happens is basically we are encountering one of her last questions in this trivia show, and it's a warfare based question. She's supposed to know of a certain like military group, their origins, or what is it? It's like that we're supposed to learn of a PMC, right?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to not only know by chance what this PMC is, and it's intermixed with like the announcer or the game show host being condescending. It's also intermixed with like some weird relations between her and the audience, her and her husband. Like it's really odd.
Yeah, it's very odd. I took it at some point to be like when you watch this game show, they're like, "You're gonna win this RV," and she's like, "Yeah, I would really like this RV," and then they ask the husband, right? And it's like, "Oh, what does your husband think?" And then the camera pans to like this dude who is, I would say, like conventionally handsome, stern face, like very, and like he looks like a military man, you know. And the camera pans over, and it's like, oh no, I'm actually the husband, and it's a very dorky looking guy. He looks a little older, and it's not what you would expect. And I feel like that's kind of like the media landscape at the time, or in this time period, to be like, this is what your man should be, you know?
Especially considering the fact that when the woman speaks about the RV and their anniversary, he keeps cutting her off.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, let's look at your husband. Like, she's the main person on the show, but let's look at your husband for his take, his answer. And they pan, like you said, to the more masculine seeming man. In the notes right here, you also put that the Seventh Circle was also from Dante's Inferno. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, the Seventh Circle is from Dante's Inferno. And the Seventh Circle of Hell is where warmongers go.
Deep cut on the nose.
Yeah, deep cut. All right.
And here it's just trivial.
Yeah, it's just the name of the show. And we also learn like a little trivia thing from this show because, you know, it's a trivia show. And this particular PMC that she is being quizzed about has the combined population of Canada and Mexico. So
this private military
group is the size of two large countries.
Casual. And it's just like a little trivia question. Oh.
Yeah, but like if you think about it, that's like hundreds of millions for one PMC.
I wonder if there's more.
Oh, there's more. Oh, there's a lot.
Another channel, we just want to like kind of list them because they're so interesting. Another channel is the Nature Documentary channel. And it's pretty normal at first. It's kind of like what is it, like a documentary of
octopus.
Octopuses. Yeah, octopuses. And octopi. And you have somebody, you know, in the ocean looking at them. You're getting facts about how intelligent these creatures are.
It genuinely kind of looks like some National Geographic kind of thing.
During this documentary, at the bottom left, you have like a news ticker, and there's two news tickers, one above each other, and it's like really small, and they're like kind of discussing things that are happening. So, for example, election results, weather, stuff like that. Very normal. One of them was kind of funny. It was talking about like voter turnout being very low in the biannual warlord election.
Oh, of course, the biannual warlord election. Of course. Oh, there was one that caught my eye. Did I write it down?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was about rampaging genetically modified cows. I thought that was hilarious. And then it was like right next to like suicide bombings. I'm like, okay.
And these are just small, very small tickers, and they're not usually news tickers across the screen, so it's easier for you to read.
Mhm.
But this news ticker is bottom left, and it was very small. You could probably only read about 4 words at a time. So you're trying to keep your attention to the octopus documentary. The news tickers are going, and then after a few seconds, the news tickers start moving around the screen.
Yeah, it's so distracting. Like like you said yourself when you were looking at it, it was like so overstimulating.
Because why am I forgetting this animal? My God,
Octopus.
the octopus documentary. The scenes kept switching, so like you're following one, and it's kind of like a dark view of the ocean.
Mm.
Then it's one of two swimmers next to the octopus, and like the scenes keep switching, and then you have the news tickers going from the left hand of the screen, floating across to the right, getting larger, getting smaller, and it's honestly, yeah, like I don't know what to look at. I myself, I was just
Yeah.
so frustrated.
It almost seemed like something that you would put on to calm down, and you're not allowed to calm down because you have to
know what's
always
going
you have to
on.
always see it.
Always see it. And then too, it was like you always have to know what's going on, but then it's what you're able to see is being decided for you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because
Like
it's hard to read the news, and then you're able to read it, but it's like what the ticker allows you to read.
oh,
It's interesting.
I wonder who's giving these news.
Oh,
Another show, the second to last show we see is a cooking show, and it's super mundane. It's kind of like a Rachel Ray or anything you see on the Kitchen Network. The Kitchen Network.
Food Network.
Woo! The Food Network. Oh my God, maybe I need another week off. But as with every other channel, even this Food Network show, kind of type program is militarized. So this person, the chef cooking, is cooking like a military buffet.
And these are very unappetizing looking things. I would never eat at this person's house.
It's like ration food.
It looks unsanitary also. And the host of this show, like there's the chef and then there's a host. They kind of look like Eva a little bit too, and like how they're dressed.
Yes.
There are these very disgusting looking dishes, and she's like pretending to like it. She picks it up, and then you see like this look of like, ugh, on her face.
Disgust.
And she's like, ooh, delicious. It's like, yeah, okay.
So tasty. Like you should, women watching, put down your pencils and papers and just get to cooking right now.
And it's set. It looks like he's cooking in an active war zone. Like you hear bombs and missiles going
There's
off.
bugs flying
There's
around.
bugs. Like it really looks like that this is set in some sort of war, in this like frontline shit.
I mean, mind you, on the ground there's like little lizards walking around.
Mhm.
He's getting actual like creatures and cutting them up on this show. So it's like you said, it's very much like active military cook. It feels like. I think also what's interesting about this is that at one point he takes out a snake. And he's like, I'm gonna chop up the snake right now.
Yeah, it's like the annual snake cutting, or like the daily snake cutting, whatever it's called, I forget. And as the snake is getting cut, he says, and I quote, "This is the last chapter in this snake's life." Then he cuts it off, and I'm like, ooh, little on the nose there.
Little on the nose, another thing.
Well, I mean, that's more of, I think that's talking about like a theme of this game, and not like a literal.
Oh yeah, snake's gonna get his chopped up.
Unless this one also has like a Kojima jump scare.
Yeah, to the right of the screen at one point. If you look, he's just there for like a hot second.
He's just standing there.
It looks almost kind of like a cardboard cutout. It is still very scary.
Yeah. The next one
and the last one.
It's my personal favorite. I really like this one because it's insane. It's a workout regimen.
Oh, kind of like Taibo or like
yeah.
What's the one that we used to like? The guy, he was
Oh
my God.
What was it?
P90X.
Yes.
Shanti, that's our guy.
But like it's almost exactly like that, only like insane. Like if you took like psychedelics.
And you put it at 2x speed, it's just again so overstimulating.
Yeah. And you have like like I never noticed this before, but when you were watching it, like you read something in the background and you were like, "Does that say cellulite genocide?" I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it's
like that sounds insane.
It's funny because it's like a workout regimen that's supposed to like for it's like a woman's like, oh, after I gave birth, like it was hard to take the weight off, and like it made me hate my baby, it made me hate my husband. But after I did this workout program and I took some nano machines, I feel great. I feel so happy about my life, and it's all thanks to this drill sergeant who is in the army, and this is a workout that soldiers use. Like, so thanks to this program for also helping me, this
Mhm.
mother.
And it's pushing you to take this like nano stimulant thing.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you want to take the nano stimulant thing? Who knows?
For the cellulite
The
genocide.
cellulite genocide, of course.
Of course.
Well, I mean, from previous games, our characters are hooked up with nanomachines, and
Yeah, that's something I feel like it's mentioned very briefly.
yeah, well, it's talked about a little bit in 1 and 2, and they use nanomachines to like regulate your blood flow, to control how you might feel at a certain time.
Didn't
There's
Naomi release stuff to make him calm down?
Yeah, and there was like a moment in 1, which is pretty cool in a dystopian way. When Snake enters like this nuclear warhead storage facility, she uses the nanomachines to make Snake not even be able to use weapons. So like these nanomachines can like control what you do. At least the ones that Snake and Raiden use.
Yeah,
These
maybe
these ones might be different.
for the general public. I mean,
These are different for sure.
for sure.
Come on.
Also, I mean, who would control them? Like,
There's
obviously, there's an app probably for them.
It's just to make you lose weight.
I bet
It's
you.
fine.
I bet you there's an app that they can probably use that no one else has access to.
It's fine. Don't
You
worry about
know?
it. Just partake in the cellulite genocide, and we'll get on with our lives. Okay? It's gonna be fine.
Stay hydrated and load up on Nano. Very chill.
Very, very chill.
Intermixed with these shows are also commercials for private military groups. What do PMC stand for?
You just said it.
But PMC.
Private military companies.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So there is different commercials for PMCs. Some are very militaristic, like on the nose, where it's just like active war zone. Hire us. We'll never miss a shot.
Yeah.
We'll always be there in the dead of night. Then there's some that are super sexy, like women with guns,
Caressing like tentacles and shit.
and being grabbed by long arms of octopuses. And it's like, oh, get this military group. Like, it's gonna be,
It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be sexy. Isn't war sexy?
Isn't war so sexy? I don't think we get the name of any of these, but I don't think it would hurt.
We do.
We do?
They're flashed at the end of each commercial. So
Okay.
at one of them is called Praying Mantis. The next one is I'm gonna slaughter this shit. Puriver Armament.
Okay.
It's French and it means octopus armaments.
Oh, the sexy commercial.
Yeah. Then there's Raven Sword, Werewolf, and then Jesus. Ostelovoya Khelevatka.
You did your best.
I know I slaughtered that. But it's Russian and it's called Clawing Ocelot.
These are the 5 biggest PMC groups.
Yeah. There's plenty more, but these are like your Amazon PMC level.
We know at least one of these is as big as 2 countries.
Mm-hmm. So it's safe to assume that the others are as big as other
Right,
countries as well.
comparable.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's smaller ones vying to get that top spot, you have just military groups who are being hired, and their whole job is war.
Yeah, you got the small mom and pop PMCs.
But probably most likely.
Yeah, 100%.
If everything else in this world, from what we've seen, is very war based, then you have these groups vying for the top spot,
Mhm.
and war has to be going continuously for anything to be profitable for these companies.
Yeah, war is a business.
War is a business. With that in mind, T, what happened after Sons of Liberty, which is kind of the most previous game canonically?
Okay, so in between 2 and 4, 2 is relatively speaking a very normal looking world. It's comparable to our own.
Yeah, we had that weirdness with the AI, but that was, remember, it was in like almost beta, like testing. They were
Yeah.
testing it on Raiden. They were, seeing how well it can be used. We know Raiden used VR missions to train. So, but it's all new tech.
Yeah, but like I feel like if you were like a civilian living in the world of Metal Gear Solid 2,
Hmm.
it would seem to be more or less normal.
Like now.
Yeah. So, in between 2 and 4, after Arsenal Gear slammed into Manhattan, that caused quite a stir because it's like, whoa, what the hell is that thing?
Mm-hmm.
The US had to take a back seat and they were like, okay, we can't be doing this anymore.
Because
Yeah.
wasn't that just the president over there? Like, isn't
Yeah,
that him? Like,
yeah, it was a lot. Maybe they were able to cover up Solidus, but you couldn't cover up Arsenal. So they took a step back and they outsourced their military to PMC companies.
smart.
Yeah,
It's not a direct trace to the U.S. Like, oh, is that group?
exactly. Now, when this game was like released, I don't know if this was like a prevalent thing at the time, but do you remember Blackwater?
Can you explain?
So Blackwater, they were like a real life PMC, and they were hired in like the war on terror, so like Iraq and Afghanistan, and this was like in the mid 2000s. They did lots of war crimes, but that's
besides
besides
the point.
that's besides the point of what I'm talking about. But just know that they're bad dudes. Fuck them, they're bad dudes
And did this while under contract.
by the United States government. There's a loophole, one that I know off the top of my head, where if there were like U.S. casualties during the Iraq War, like U.S. soldiers, they had to be documented and they had to be reported. If a PMC soldier got, they didn't have to be reported. So
Wild.
the US government would be able to go on TV and be like, we only lost like 5 guys. But they really lost like 500 guys. But they used mostly a PMC, but they're not telling you that.
And I think also too that shows kind of like if they're able to not report that, what else is not reportable?
Exactly.
Like what records are being kept?
Yeah. I don't know if that was exactly what Kojima was critiquing at the time, but art often mimics real life. So I felt like sharing that. So as the US continued to rely
In the game.
in the game, no, I'm talking about the game.
Back
now.
to the game.
Back to the game. As the US continued to rely on these PMCs began to grow and grow and grow. And they started to branch out. They started to take work from other countries.
I mean, if the US is doing it, why not?
Why not? So they took work from other countries. Then they got even bigger. And then they were like, what if we just took work from anything? And then they started to take work from companies and then even terrorist groups. They just started to go.
It's a job.
It was a whole business that just sprouted up out of nowhere.
But yeah, because it's not your job. I mean, at that point, to be, to have a moral compass, it's what's going to be profitable.
Yeah. And what when a war is profitable, when things are at peace, that's when profits are down. You got to keep this war going, buddy. You got to keep sending meat in that meat grinder. So
Yeah, that's their only goal. A PMC's only goal is to make money. And they only make money, like you said, is to continue profiting over war. And I think what's interesting is that you probably have these groups fighting against each other, maybe even themselves.
yeah, for like nothing. Like it's stated in like the lore of this game as you go on. But like a lot of these PMCs, they're not really fighting for anything. They're not fighting for an ideology. They're not fighting for like a country. They're just doing it just to do it. It's meaningless.
I think what's scary about that, especially in this game, is that if they're outsourcing PMCs, wars to PMC groups, then that means a country's actual military is probably going to be non-existent.
Little to non-existent. Yeah.
Because if these groups are so large, they're probably taking the bigger contracts.
They're probably taking the best soldiers.
That are making the most money. So you as a civilian, first of all, I feel like little to no civilians at this point. You know what I mean? Because everyone's going to be contracted into these things to make money.
Yeah.
There's money in war, so I'm going to become
Yeah.
a part of these PMCs. And I feel like at that point, PMCs start having almost a larger role in what happens in the world.
I would argue that the PMCs are like the real powers in the world and not countries anymore.
Mm-hmm. What was this quote you wrote? The U.S. exported its military power, and now it's paying the price.
That was a quote that Snake said in one of the briefings, and I thought
Okay.
that was like relevant to what we're talking about. And I would definitely agree with that quote because even if the U.S. wanted to step up and say enough, they can't do it.
Who are they going to hire? PMC?
Yeah, exactly. They can't fucking do it.
And then what are they going to tell civilians to like recruit them to their army? Oh, I guess we're going to have to pay you the market rate, or you're going to have to, like, how do you get people to fight for your cause when it's like,
Who cares?
Yeah, who
There's no
cares?
cause anymore.
How's it different than anything else that's happening now?
Yeah. Now, to help police a little bit of this, Arms Tech, which is safe to assume is the Patriots. Arms Tech is like Donald Anderson. Donald Anderson is the Patriots.
Oh, we learned this back
In 3.
In 3.
So Arms Tech, which, safe to say is the Patriots, they make new security tools like ID locking weapons and real-time data analysis with mandatory nanomachines for these PMCs to use to help make a cleaner and safer battlefield.
Cleaner and safer. So this whole system is now known as the Sons of the Patriots system. Oh,
SOP.
Sons of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, like, to help police it, if in, like, the Metal Gear universe, if you and I existed, even if we had nanomachines, if we picked up a gun, we couldn't use it because we're not part of a PMC.
PMCs probably have their own guns that are registered to them.
By the Patriots. Well, by quote-unquote Arms Tech.
And Arms Tech is a part of the U.S. government?
Yes.
Okay, so the government has some kind of regulations.
There is a form of regulations, and that's what's kind of keeping Pandora's box closed.
Which is kind of powerful.
In
a sense, because if they wanted to, probably won't, you could lock all the weapons.
It's possible. But why do that?
They'd be revolt. You're disrupting what's happening.
Yeah, you would disrupt global economic rates. And as we know, that is a dumb thing to do. So don't do that.
I think it's kind of like going back to a monkey's paw thing. It's like you outsource all this military work and all this this war to these private companies, and you need this to make money for yourself. But at the same time, you give them so much more power. So, like, it's this weird, like, juggling act of, like, maintaining some semblance of power, but also knowing that at any point...
Yeah. If and when these companies figure out how to get around this system, game's over. Like, you are out forever.
What is the real-time data analysis? Like, what is the...
Yeah. Another part of the Sons of the Patriot system is that it actively tracks how soldiers are doing in the field, going as far as to how they actually feel, if they're panicking. So, like, let's say if I'm a soldier, right, and I'm in the middle of a firefight and I'm panicking, I can't take it anymore. I'm like, I can't do this. The Sons of the Patriot system would see that. The nanomachines in my body would release like a chemical that would help calm me down.
Oh my god.
And I will be able to fight better.
Oh my god. I mean, I guess that's to their point of a cleaner and safer battlefield, which is funny because, like, that to me almost kind of shows that this war is just fake.
It's meaningless.
Yeah, it's meaningless because cleaner and safer battle... If you're trying to describe what a battlefield is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have the words right. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, and if you think about it, you're taking the not to say that, like, war is this noble act or anything, but you're taking, like, the humanity out of it. Like, if
a real human reaction, you're trying to, like, no,
you're dampening an actual real response, and you're replacing it with something that's fake.
Also, you're saying, hey, keep going.
Yeah.
Normally, something like this happens, your heart rate accelerates. You have, you're sweating. You're having these chest pains. you would step back. That's your body telling you this isn't right.
Yeah.
That's like you said, this human reaction of something is wrong. And yet the system's going, no, no, no.
You're fine.
No,
Keep
you're
going.
fine. Go back out there. These nanomachines are taking away what it is to be human, to have these really genuine reactions, to experience something. It also takes away, I feel like, your ability to experience literally what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, even if you zoom out a little bit further, these nanomachines are dictating what you think and what you feel. And you genuinely believe that these things are your own.
And what happens outside of war? Because you imagine this world has a constant war, but there's times where you're not shooting and not battling. What are the nanomachines doing then?
Exactly.
They're ever present. It's not like they turn off.
Yeah. So like let's say you go back home and you're driving your car, somebody cuts you off and you're like, motherfucker. and
Does-
and you know, genuine human response. But the nanomachines would be like, don't do that.
Or would they rev it up like, yeah, be angry?
Yeah, it could go in the opposite direction.
Who's monitoring
Yeah.
that system? And for everyday folks who aren't explicitly in these PMCs, the mom who's trying to lose weight, is there a system that's looking at her,
Exactly.
her body, her?
And like when you think of like these SOP systems and you think of the nanomachines that people are taking in civilian life, how altered is civilian life now? And how many people are taking these nanomachines? It's just like this
in
system.
conjunction with what you're seeing on TV. So you have these nanomachines, like you said, inside of you. You have TV that's displaying nothing but war and overstimulation and filtered media, filtered discussion points.
It's bleak, man. This shit's bleak.
And this is just the starting point of the game.
And then like you're like, how the hell does Snake even fight against this?
He's fighting these PMC groups. He's fighting society. Who can he trust? Who is real? Are any of the people he encounters emotions actually their emotions?
Like it's almost as impossible sounding as like someone coming up to me, like real life me, and say, "Hey, the military industrial complex of the United States is wild, and you, Tom, have to take it out." I'm like, okay, how do I do that?
We're getting all of this from the opening minute of the game. Like you are going through different channels and we're getting all this information. We have yet to even see Snake from our little discussion right now.
Yeah.
And we'll see that next time.
We will do that for the next episode. This episode, I feel like it's almost like a 201 in disguise because like 4 is such a detailed game, and I feel that the world of 4 is a character in and of itself, and it needs to be discussed along with the game.
No, I think we had to do this because if we did this while discussing what happens in the game,
It would take forever.
it would take forever. And I think too, this game, like the commercials, throw so much at you. If we can describe the character that is the world in one episode and you keep that in mind as we go through the story, it makes it a little bit more digestible.
A bit, yeah.
I bet. This is probably going to be the episode that makes the most sense.
What do you mean?
You know, it's just Metal Gear Solid 4. It's just, you know, a very well-paced, easy to understand game. Even after you beat it.
Especially after you beat it.
No one questions anything once you beat the game.
No one.
But T, fantastic notes. Thank you so much. I think we've painted a beautiful portrait of this world.
I think so too. And if you think so as well, or if you have any critiques, feel free to email us anytime at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com.
Next episode, we're going to find out what Snake has been up to. We're going to find out, I mean, we've already said that Snake is older, but we don't know how much older. How many years have passed?
We don't know.
What's going on? Especially after 2, you can imagine that Snake maybe is in a little bit of a precarious situation.
Perhaps.
Where's Raiden?
I don't know.
Where's Rose?
He should be around. Rose should be around.
Rose?
I don't know. Are they real? Is it established they're real?
We saw Rose.
Okay, I'm just fucking around. I'm just fucking around.
But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Remember, expect a pop quiz next episode. We hope you.
I already know one. Oh no, it's gonna be fun.
Okay, everyone, keep that thought, T.
Okay.
Keep it. Everyone will see you in 2 weeks' time. As always, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye, guys.